Hi, I'm Renee Carey, and I'm going to share with you today my paper, option 1 for this class, Information Literacy Digital Resources for Senior Students. So I'm looking specifically for seniors that are going back to college. Do they have information literacy resources available that are senior friendly? If you're the front of the house person, you know that information literacy is a big thing these days. We're just not showing people where to find their books, but it's a matter of teaching them how to learn. There's some lifelong skills that we're looking at, and that's part of our job. So being able to have the resources available for all students, not just the youngins, that is something that's very important. Their experience is very different, of course. They are used to the printed page. If there are journals, they went to the circulation desk to find them. So having things that are online available, how do you tell what is a good source and what was written by the 13-year-old down the street? Those are all things that they need to go through and learn, as our younger ones do too, by the way. But they have some technology that they also have to face in the older adult end of things. Research questions that I looked at. Is there a need? Are seniors actually going back to college? Is there scholarly research already out there that shows that this has already been taken care of, that we've already looked at websites and that they are senior friendly? How are the websites that are out there? I spent a lot of time evaluating websites and seeing, that was the bulk of my project, and seeing if they met senior friendly standards and what needs to be improved to make those sites and others better. So is there a need? Yes. In 2013, over 717,000 attended post-secondary institutions, degree granting institutions. 66,000 of those over 65 also went to college during the year 2013. As baby boomers become older, we'll probably see those numbers rise. I don't have time to talk with you about the research that I saw, the scholarly research so far. There were a few articles that really caught my attention. Duquesne and Michigan State both have some really great programs for information literacy for their senior students. But the information that they gave, although it did help me in some areas as far as what to look for the research, they were looking more at the seniors and what it was that they did, what areas they had a hard time with. They weren't really looking at the sites themselves. So I'm looking at on the digital end of things, not what the seniors can do, but do the seniors have the resources to find out what they need to do. I took the information literacy definition from the ALA, Association of College and Research Libraries part of ALA, and I broke it down into segments. So from that definition, I identified the element and identified a question that a senior may ask. So if they were looking at a certain element and they'd want to know what to Google to find out how to gain information about that area, how to do something, then what question might they ask? By the way, I'm a senior student. I'm going back to school after 30 years from college. So some of these were things that I thought, what just makes common sense to me and to the seniors that I work with in my non-traditional environment here at my library. First one, the element itself is recognizing that further information is needed. A person who is informationally literate would be able to do this. Now, I didn't pose a question for this one because more than likely the student would start with the topic. So if they're looking at classical music, they'd pull up classical music. So the research end of things, that was a little bit different than the others. The second area, finding information. How do I find the information? What makes, or how do I find scholarly articles? We have them in all of ours, that we need to have resources that meet research standards, that are peer-reviewed or refereed, or there's a lot of different terms for it. How do they evaluate that? Third one, evaluating the information for its accuracy. Is it something that, even if it's scholarly, does that mean that it should be used? What are the criteria for that? So the question is, how do I evaluate information? Pretty straightforward. The fourth element, properly using the information for its intended purpose. This, again, could have 100 different questions that you could use to find answers for this area. The question that I chose out of many that I considered was, what's considered plagiarism? How much of a source can I use without getting in trouble? What should I be doing? How should I be formulating the information that I put on the printed page? Fifth area, effectively communicating the information is required. How do I, whatever form it is, whether it's oral or written, I chose a written option of what is MLA and APA 6 format. Seniors are probably asking what happened through 1 through 5. There are a lot of questions that they could have in trying to interpret some of the acronyms that we actually throw around a lot as well. I got a sampling from these. I Googled these things, and from the top results from Google and from Bing, MSN search engines, I considered those. I had some other criteria in there, but I don't have time to talk to you about it for right now. Some of the ones that I evaluated, I went through as far as the methodology and used the National Institute for Aging and the National Library of Medicine senior-friendly criteria, the 25 things that were listed. We went through those in class several times, so most of you probably remember those. And at the suggestion of our professor at midterm time, I also used some universal design ideas. I'm really glad that I did that, because that kind of gave me a forest through the trees idea. The trees were the 25 things, but I was able to kind of step back and see the site and evaluate it differently when I looked at it with some universal design principles. So that was very well worth doing it both ways. Angelo State University, Prairie State College Libraries, Penn State had a good page, but you had to go through several pages to get to the information that you're looking for. TechEase was one of the sites that I looked at for the University of South Florida. Part of their charm of their site was not what I was actually Googling, but they have a huge section about the audio, what's out there, and the visual things, and terminology, and a glossary of terms that was really good for somebody that was just trying to figure out what, it was kind of a how-to on a lot of computer things, as well as some writing criteria and the type of things that I was actually looking for. So I kind of stumbled onto that one. It was a nice thing to see. Plagiarism.org was one of them that I looked at. Harvard. Don't go to Harvard's. That was a horrible site for plagiarism. It was very long. You had to keep scrolling. It was small print. They tried to put some color blocks in there, but when I finally got to the end of the page, it said next, and I had 2 more pages of the same information. No, seniors would not go through that much information to try to find out their plagiarism rules. Purdue OWL I looked at because that's kind of a standard for a lot of people. They did have some good things, but they had some drawbacks as well, and they do have some videos that you could watch. But some of those, even though you varied the speed, it was kind of a slow motion type thing. It was some of them spoke very quickly. They had some background noise. They had some piano music in the background for some of them. It was not pretty for some. This poor guy, David Taylor, he had some very good sites, and I will probably use him for people that don't need captions for the hearing impaired. He was very good, very clear, very easy to understand, but if you put the closed captions, as you can see, click on the Hibernation Watcher Arab. What is that? What he actually said was, click on the hyphenation launcher arrow. People have got to do a better job at looking at the captions. That's something I ran into a couple different times, and that really ended up being some issues for if you had hearing impaired. My results quickly: 2 is better than 1, using 2 different types of sites. Criteria for research was well worth it. There was a lot of really good sites out there. None of them were perfect, but there really were some good sites out there. I was pleasantly surprised at what I was able to find research-wise. The hearing impaired, what I just mentioned, was a problem. Recommendations: having senior-friendly focus groups for the senior students, improving the video, like I said, being proactive on looking at some of these sites ahead of time, and having a database for seniors for some information literacy things I think would be a good idea. What I learned for both the class and the course, for the project and the course, is being more aware of the students, of what was out there for the students, and what I give to the students to use, and aware of those that are around me and the issues that they might have for finding information on their age. There are some things that they're just older and it's going to take more time, and that's okay. Thank you.